All right, so we have the live stream. And I was gonna get Flo here.
Yeah, take your time.
I believe Flo will start. This is the second session of the day, and Flo does get a little bit nip and picky about going for too long. We shall see.
How's it sound? Is it okay? You're not hearing too much ambience?
It's fine. Hey,
It
Flo.
sounds pretty clear on my end, not picking up too much background noise, so we're good to go. Let me know if you need any adjustments.
All right, so now I just want to get the transcript going, and then I think we are good to go.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
We'll get the transcription. Perfect. Transcription is now active and running. We're all set to dive in whenever you're ready.
Okay, so there's the transcript.
Great, everything's in place. If there's anything else we need to set up or confirm, just let me know, and we keep rolling forward.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. So we're all checked in. Well, actually, no, I didn't do my check-in. So Flo, what's your number for hyper check-in? 1 to 9.
All right, got it. Let's go ahead and do that check-in, and we'll make sure everything's set and ready to go.
What's your number from 1 to 9, Flo?
I'm at number 4 for my check-in, and I'm all set. Let me know what everyone else's number is, and we'll keep things rolling.
I'm a 3.6. How about you, Pewpmasta?
Awesome, that sounds good. We're all synced up, and we're ready to dive into the session. Let's keep it going.
All right, so let's get focused on some topics here.
Yes.
Let's dive into those topics and get everyone's input so we can get started smoothly. Let me know which one we'll tackle first.
The main thing I've been thinking about is, whether we need a platform or whether maybe we could connect with existing platforms. Like I had some ideas on just like, and obviously I did a bunch of research and brainstorming on different options for business models or like monetary models, but yeah, but I was also thinking about whether we really need a platform and like
please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
And what would be similar to the type of platform that we were talking about.
Got it. That sounds like.
So we could have that kind of discussion.
Absolutely.
That's legitimate.
We'll dig into that and explore all those options thoroughly.
Definitely...
Let's get everyone's perspectives, and then we can map out the best path forward.
So let's call that, options for achieving goals. So one of the things that I've been working on over the last week is instead of focusing on platforms, focusing on goals. What do we want to achieve? Making sure that our goals are aligned with the work that we're doing instead of, building platforms and then building the goals around the platforms, right? It's the same thing with like AI. It's like instead of using AI, focus on the goals and then make sure the AI aligns with the goals instead of the other way around.
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Starting with clear goals first definitely helps ensure that any platform or tool we use aligns perfectly with what we want to achieve. Let's definitely keep that focus in mind as we discuss further.
So yeah, so I would say the topic is options for achieving our goals, and then evaluate existing platforms.
That sounds like a solid topic.
And what and how our platform, if we made it, would function, right?
Exactly. That gives us a great framework to compare and contrast and really understand how any potential platform would fit into our goals. Let's dive into that in detail.
So how does that sound for a first topic?
That sounds great.
I think that's a good first topic. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. So the topic is options for achieving goals.
Exactly. All right, let's dive in and explore all the possibilities and strategies for achieving our goals effectively. Let's
I mean, this can be implemented into the roadmap as well, right? But I guess this is a little bit more abstract. Definitely what we're talking about.
Absolutely. It'll definitely tie into our roadmap, and exploring these concepts at a high level will give us a solid foundation. It's definitely worth diving into.
Yeah, but the key thing is here is thinking about our goals in relationship to what we're trying to accomplish and how we can accomplish it, and then um, making sure the platform is the right thing that we would want to do and what the platform would be doing anyways, right? So
Exactly.
I think it's a good first step on kind of the direction we want to go. Instead of just like
This also ties. This also ties into identity as well. I would say.
Yes, everything ties into identity. Identity is like the core to all of it. So yes, absolutely. Cool, yeah. So we're ready for topic one?
Time for breath.
Absolutely, we're all set and ready to jump into topic one. Let's get started and make some progress.
Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together.
Yeah.
1,
Why don't
2,
we
3.
list the
Exhale,
existing
relax.
ones that we already have, right? We already have overarching goals that we can list off, and then we can, if by listing them off, we don't have to have any overlapping ones.
I feel like our goals are very broad. Like the kind of goals that we have are like, get rid of the big, beautiful bill, right?
Absolutely.
And then we talked about maybe doing some grievance platform or having grievances observed. We talked about, prioritizing candidates and ideally affecting, the election to some degree.
Exactly.
So I think that's sort of what we talked about in terms of goals, but we mainly talked about values and principles and what we stand for as opposed to real the problem is none of these goals are particularly achievable. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
So when I'm thinking about goals, I'm thinking about, okay, what are our goals for the new year? What are our goals for the next, month or two? Um, and I don't know, I guess you could say 6 months, a couple months to 6 months of goals, right? So like
Exactly.
how do we
Great.
get to where we're going, right? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what the roadmap was for. But so are we? So we're tabling the grievance platform, and we are going back
No, we're not necessarily
and
tabling the grievance platform. We're just understanding our goals in relationship. Like the reason why we should build the grievance platform is to achieve a goal. And if that goal is not clear, then we should think about what our goals are. Does that sort of make sense?
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense.
yeah, I understand.
So for me, the goal isn't necessarily the platform. The goal is that our grievances are heard and acted on, right?
Exactly,
So
that's the
it's possible to have a platform to help us with that, right? So one thing I've been thinking about in terms of our goals and understanding the idea of the grievances and all the business models and like monetary aspects of it is thinking about what exists already and what is the closest relationship. Like if we list a bunch of grievances and we prioritize them, what is that related to existing platforms? And one idea that I had was um,
that's a great point, and it definitely
petition platforms.
absolutely considering existing platforms will give us a clearer picture and help us shape our own approach more effectively. Let's dive into that idea.
Open your eyes.
Right. So a grievance is, I would say, is kind of like a type of petition, right?
Exactly, that's a great way to put it. It's essentially a form of petition, and understanding that connection will really help us refine how we approach it.
What do you think?
I'm definitely on the same page. Let's keep digging into those connections and see how we can best align everything to achieve our goals.
Yeah, there are definitely a few petition platforms that I can come up with at the top of my head.
Well, I just linked
I
like the top 10 petition platform like ranking. I don't know. There's just various ones that we could look at, and there's change.org and there's move on other ones. But
Perfect. That's a great starting point. We can definitely review those platforms and see what features and approaches they have, and then figure out how we can differentiate or improve on that.
So like, for example, another way of going about this is instead of creating a separate, unique, different platform, we could actually go in reverse. We could say, okay, here are all the existing platforms where people are expressing their grievances. Instead of creating a new separate platform, maybe what we're trying to do is actually a data processing where we bring in all of the data from all of these other sites that already are listing grievances. We prioritize the grievances and pull them out and then reflect it back to the population. Like, you know, that's another way of thinking about it in terms of understanding these goals, is that, you know, kind of a reverse data analysis model. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, that makes perfect
Yes.
sense.
So like, let's flesh it out a bit. Let's give like a little flesh mock-up as to what that realistically would look like. Would that be a visualization somehow? Like, is this going to be like something you post on social media platforms? Like, if you don't have a platform, like how, like, is it going to be physical flyers? How is this translating into real world?
Well, I'm just saying, like, what are we trying to do is the goal, right? Like, once we have a clear goal, then the goal will translate into whatever we need to do to achieve the goal. If that means building, like, we could build an entire platform that does nothing but process data from other platforms, right? You see what I'm saying? So instead of us creating new data, we process data. So again, if we go back to the topic is options for achieving our goals. So we want to have an understanding of what our goals are. Obviously, our goals are related to addressing these grievances, but we don't necessarily need a grievance platform to do this, right?
Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
Oh, let's do a quick stretch. Yes. Stretch.
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense. Once we have that clear goal in mind, it really shapes how we approach everything, whether it's building something new or just processing existing data. It all comes back to that core purpose. Let's definitely keep that in focus as we move forward.
So if we think about options, we have the option of like building our own grievance platform, which basically means that we input our own data, right? With our own community, right? And that's kind of what we were talking about before. And then the other option would be that we don't need a platform at all. We don't need a platform and instead use existing platforms. And then the third option that I talked about is doing a data processing, or what's the right word? Data, you know, big data processing of existing, you know, input on other platforms, right? So we actually would try to work with what people have already done, right?
Exactly,
So
that's the idea.
it wouldn't be as organized as if we did it ourselves. But the key thing is just making sure we have clarity on our options so that we are not, you know, putting our horse before the carriage, right? Or the other way around, the carriage before the horse.
Exactly. About making sure we have that clear direction first so we can choose the best approach without any confusion. It's all about aligning our goals
I'm
and
still here and listening.
Perfect. That's great to hear. If you have any more thoughts or ideas, just let me know and we'll keep building on them together.
So yeah, from here I think I'm ready to pull up our notes from last time. And
sounds great. Let me know when you have them ready and we can dive right back into the details.
So yeah, I understand what you're conveying, pulling data, like having partnerships with these other competition platforms and congregating the data and organizing it in a way that will push forward. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. So,
absolutely. I'm glad it resonates with you. We'll keep refining those ideas and see how everything fits together as we move forward. Just let me know whenever you're ready to dive deeper.
Let's keep fleshing out exactly what this would look like and how this could impact.
Absolutely, that sounds perfect. We'll continue to build on these ideas and shape everything step by step. Just let me know how you'd like to proceed, and we'll keep moving forward together.
Cool. So the other thing we were talking about is the options in terms of the model of how the actual platform would function in relationship to like a monetary systems, and but I think it's important to also can think about the option in relationship to, do we even need a platform? Like, what exactly are our goals that we're trying to achieve? And then also, I thought of the idea, okay, well, the licensing model is also a possibility where the platform itself might be more of like a petition platform or something like that.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely important to weigh all those different angles, whether we need a platform at all, and how the monetization or licensing models would fit into the bigger picture. We'll keep exploring those possibilities and refining our approach as we go.
So I don't know if you did any other additional research, but right, there's the advertising model, the donation fund model, the licensing model. So there was definitely a couple other, models that I found that I thought were interesting that we should consider.
Yeah, I have a document just listing off different options, and what could be available.
Nice.
I remember we wanted to stay away from 501c3.
Say what?
So we can be more flexible.
Absolutely.
I know we wanted to stay away from 501c3 to remain flexible. So let me just share this with you real quick.
And I'm certainly not against using a 501c3 if we have a reason to. It can just be difficult within a political context.
No,
yeah.
I'm against it too. Like, I rather can do. Once I find it, where the hell is my? Oh, there it is.
Ready, and we'll dive into those details together. It's definitely important to weigh all those options thoroughly.
Now inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1.
Navigating my windows.
1,
Here it is.
3. Exhale, relax.
No worries at all. Take your time, and whenever you're ready, just let me know, and we'll go through it together.
Oh, here you posted it.
I just sent the link. It just lists off a few different types of methods for fundraising, specifically what you want, and you've already utilized the freemium model with earned income through mission aligned products, which is cool.
So we have grants.
We still have to flesh out like how viable the freemium thing is, but we're like kind of like going back and kind of realigning with goals right now. But I do think it's worth looking at these other options, like the one option at number 6, temporarily partner with a fiscal sponsor, 501c3 nonprofit to access grants and tax-deductible donations. I think that's cool. Something easy to start up with.
And we certainly already have multiple 501c3s that we can utilize if we want to, so that's certainly not a problem. We can certainly do
exactly that gives us
partnerships and sponsorships with other external nonprofits as well if we wanted to. But we do have multiple nonprofits.
Yeah.
Social impact investors.
Obviously, what you've been coming up with, the earned income through mission aligned products, like that would be ideal. If we can find something that would work, that would be obviously ideal. But if we, utilize multiple channels, that might be like the best thing. With what we want.
Yes. Yes, that's definitely one of the ones that I was thinking about. Like, I did some, sort of thinking about it all, and one of the biggest ones that was of most interest, or higher priority, was the idea of flexibility and creating a model that basically, is all of the above, that just allows for whatever needs to be done. So we don't necessarily stuck ourselves in any one aspect. So I think flexibility is a really good idea for sure.
Absolutely, that flexibility is key, and it really lets us adapt and evolve as we go along. It's definitely a solid approach to keep our options open and stay agile. Let's keep that in mind as we move forward.
So yeah, so multiple different, what'd you call it? You just had a great word for it.
Close your eyes. Count.
I just said multiple channels.
Yeah, multiple channels of
Open your eyes.
multiple channels of income. Yeah, so I think that's a really good model. The other model that I thought of, that I wanted to add to the list, was the membership model. What's interesting about the membership model, is that, because I was doing some research on that, like the membership model is where you have a tier, but there's just basically one tier. You're either paid into the membership or you're not. So you have the free tier, and then you have the membership paid tier. And that everyone basically pays the same membership fee. Certainly you could donate and give more, but that the membership fee itself is like a flat membership fee. Some of the things I don't like about membership is the idea that your membership is your ticket to empowerment. I hate that. But if we took away the idea that basically, let's say we had two separate memberships. One membership was the free membership, and then the second membership was the paid membership. I think that's a great model, right? That as a free member, you still get lots of power, and you can still vote and have decision making. But as a paid member, you get additional, weighted you get to make decisions over money, whereas the free members don't get to make decisions over money, right? So I think that's definitely an interesting model, the membership model, for sure.
Absolutely. It definitely adds a nice balance between inclusivity and additional benefits for those who contribute more. It's definitely worth exploring further. Let's keep that in mind as we refine our overall approach.
And I just like similar to our last meeting in regards to these models, it's like, what specific access are we talking about?
Exactly. It all comes down to defining the exact levels of access and what each membership tier really offers. That clarity will help ensure that everyone feels valued and empowered in the process. Let's definitely keep that in focus as we move forward.
So I feel like, the membership model itself, the primary access is power, right? Because you are making decisions over the monetary system, so you have a say in the, additional board seats and additional, just like, decision making on the budgets and other things that you wouldn't necessarily have in the free tier. And then from there you could have additional components. But I think overall, the idea of the membership model is that there's just one tier. It's either you're a paid member or you're not, and there's no additional levels and layers like you have in a freemium model, or a tiered system where you have multiple, like a gamification where you're always trying to go up the ladder. In this concept, it's like you're either a paid member or you're not a paid member. There's only one level, right? And then once you are in that level, you have access to everything.
Take a break for 6 minutes.
Why don't we make it a flexible membership and allow accessibility to people who, let's say, they have like food stamps?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, so for me, I think that, I hate the idea that you have to pay money to actually get involved in something. Like, that's for me one of the core problems with civic engagement. So yes, obviously we would want scholarships and alternative models, and if you have, and exemptions, right? So I'm all about exemptions for sure. Yeah, that would be that for me. I think that would be core to the model.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the membership model.
And there could be like even tiered pricing or whatnot,
Absolutely. That's a fantastic approach. Incorporating flexibility and inclusivity ensures that everyone has a voice regardless of their financial situation. And having tiered pricing or alternative models definitely keeps it accessible and fair. It all adds up to a more equitable and engaging system.
That would certainly be an interesting model where like your fee was based on your income and wealth, right? But that's kind of like
Absolutely.
taxes,
I mean,
right? I mean, it's
we
basically like
can't like
taxes.
we can't like prove it, right? Like we can't ask them to disclose
Why?
that much.
Why?
Maybe we can. If we could, then I would be all for it for
I mean,
sure.
basically, if you're poor, you have to prove you're poor all the time, right?
That's true.
So why not say that a rich person needs to prove that they're not rich to get a discount, right? Otherwise,
I
you're
would
paying the
like
rich
to
fee.
implement that. Absolutely.
You know, so like I don't know. I think those are very interesting concepts, and we can discuss all of that in relationship to the membership fee model. The only other model that I've thought of that I think is applicable is the spiritual slash tithing model. Not that we should use it, but it's just another one that I found. So I got
Let
10
me
models.
go
Right?
back to the notes where you're at. Okay.
Yeah, I was just
So
adding
we're
them.
down here.
So I was just
Okay.
finishing that was the last one on my list of all the research that I did. Is that the
Oh,
spiritual tithing model is technically another model. It's just not one that I don't know if we want to use it, but I think it's important to acknowledge because it is a community model and it relates to some of the spiritual discussions that we've been having and grounding and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just another label, right?
Yes, it's just another label. Yeah, it's just another model of fundraising. Yeah. Cool. So I think we have a pretty good list here as far as like all these different options, which is really cool.
Absolutely. We've got a solid range of options to explore. It'll definitely help us craft the best approach moving forward. I'm excited to dive deeper into each one.
What we have more of affinity towards. Or we can think about that later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can always circle back and refine our preferences later on. For now, we've got a great foundation, and we can definitely keep building on it as we go.
Yeah, so do we want to flesh out more solid goals that are less abstract?
Absolutely, that sounds like a great idea. We can definitely hone in on more concrete, specific goals to give ourselves a clearer direction. Let's dive into that and make them as tangible as possible.
Even the one that's below, like the second one underneath the first item in goals, I mean, it's still abstract, right? It's still not like really concrete.
Absolutely, I get what you mean.
Which line are you getting again?
Grievances are heard and acted on.
Yes, exactly. Like having more clarity on our goal, especially, cause like we have clarity on like our long-term, like potentially unachievable goals that yes, we want, a better world and we want to have these things change. We want to strikes, we want protests, we want, power for people. But then the question is, okay, well, what are our goals regardless of the outcomes, right? What are we trying to achieve over the next couple months that can help move towards our vision? I would almost say that we have a clear vision, but not necessarily clear goals. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes. That makes perfect sense. It's definitely important to break down that bigger vision into more tangible short-term goals so that we can measure progress and stay focused. We can definitely work on making those goals more concrete and actionable for the near term.
So here's an example is that we can create a process, right? So we were very, very capable of creating a process. The process can be, we want to have maximum input of every possible grievance. That could be done in like, just an input model or even a think call, right? And then once you have the maximum input of the grievances, our goal would be to prioritize, or we want to organize and professionally present the grievances, and then we want to organize them and prioritize them, and then we want to present them in a way people take seriously, right? So
And the
the
break.
goal.
Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
So if we think about what we can control, regardless of outcome, we can control a process. We can build a very stable, functional process to organize and present grievances.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, that's a great approach. By focusing on building a solid, repeatable process, we can ensure that we're always moving forward and making meaningful progress no matter the outcome. It definitely keeps us on track and makes sure we're always effective and impactful.
So for me, so far I see at least um, I see at least 5 kind of steps so far. Present in a way that is professional, and then take action. Right. So for me, it's like the first step is input and brainstorm. Right. Just getting a lot of information, just like ideas. Then the second part would be to organize and professionally explain. I think it's very important that every single um,
Absolutely.
grievance, right? Every single grievance should be equal, right? It should have the equal criteria, right? So there should be like an equal criteria for every grievance. And also you could have define and build understanding about what a grievance even is, right? Because if we're focusing on grievances, we would want
Hey
to have
Jake, can we
clear.
take a 5 minute break? My laptop is slowly dying. I need
Yeah,
to go
we
to a
missed
restroom
our
real quick.
break. We missed our break. So yeah, let's take a 5 minute break. That'd be great.
Let's do it.
I love
All
breaks.
right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Sounds good. Let's take that break and recharge, and we'll pick up right where we left off once we're all set. Enjoy the break.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes. time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale, relax.
All right, I am back.
Perfect. Whenever you're ready to jump back in, just let me know and we'll keep going. Enjoy your break.
Yeah, it looks like we may have lost Pewpmasta for now, but maybe he'll come back. But we have a lot that we can do here. So we can think about the prioritization, which would be good. We can also think about this organizing and presenting grievances. So the grievance process itself, I think, is actually a very, very important context, because once you have clarity on the goal of the grievance process, and that building a process where grievances are addressed in a sustained, organized, and functional way, I think that that is a really powerful message and a powerful model. Oh, you're back.
Yes.
Nice.
All right, there's someone in the bathroom I was waiting for.
Cool. So I was just talking about the grievance process and thinking about how this idea of a new goal, where the goal itself is the process, right? Like organizing and presenting grievances in a way that they're taken seriously, in a way that is like professional and understood, and that is built on a definition and a solid foundation. I think that is very powerful. And what's interesting about the idea of a process is that it is not, it can be done with a platform, it can be done without a platform, it can be done in person, it can be done online, it can be done in a courtroom, it can be done in a communal government process, it can be done anywhere, right? Like once you have the process itself, it's a technology that can be shared and be replicated all over the place, right? So the idea of the context of a grievance process and how it's all organized and presented, I think is really, really important. Like, the definition, understanding the history, like just the background of it, I think is super important. We could research historically how grievances have been legally addressed in the past. And then we have the input and brainstorm part.
Close your eyes. Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So you input and brainstorm, you organize and professionally explain each grievance, which I think is very important, because you need an equal criteria for like let's say you have 50 grievances, each one should meet a minimum criteria. Like it's clearly defined, it has a clear explanation, it has pros and cons. Like, you should be able to relate and compare them all. You're not comparing the grammar, right? Like they should all have proper grammar, they should all have proper presentation, so that you can compare them based on the idea, not on whether they're spelled correctly, right? So there should be some sort of professional criteria for what, and then after you have completed your list, completed the grievances and that they're all basically meet the criteria, then you vote on them and prioritize them. And then once you prioritize all the grievances, which I think is kind of like the middle part, then you're going into the reporting and the professional report of the grievances and how the grievances are basically shared, both as individual grievances and then also as the whole report of like, these are the priority grievances of the people. What's interesting about the report itself is that we could just skip all of it and just write a report of grievances. And if people liked it and they thought it was perfect, it would make the same impact as going through the entire process. But by going through the process, you typically get a better result, because then people believe in the outcome, and then they also feel like it's part of like something more than just a single group or a single person, So anyways, and after you have all the grievances professionally prioritized and professionally presented, in a way that might be very impactful, you can then take action. And then the taking of the action can be very, very different. So there could be 1,000 different organizations taking actions in 1,000 different ways on the same grievances, right? And then in our context, we're talking about potentially connecting those grievances to the elections, right? And seeing what candidates want to sign on to different grievances or not. But that's just one possible action that can be taken from the outcome of this process, right? So for me, the goal of having a clear process might be more powerful than the grievances themselves.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this also is more of a coalition model where it's like you can have a lot of inputs from a lot of different directions, and then you can have a lot of outputs from a lot of different directions. Like you could have 20, 100, 200 organizations all
Time
separately.
to stretch. Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
All separately taking action, So anyways, the key thing about the process is that it doesn't actually need a platform, right? But we can certainly build a platform if we want to. But the process would be more important than the platform. Does that make sense? It's
yes,
a system.
It does.
Yeah, the system itself is the power, right? So if we went with this process and we thought that it looked correct, and we can certainly do some research on adding things, I would say the first step, regardless of whether we want to build a platform or not, is step 0 is research, defining and building understanding what is a grievance, what is the history of grievances, what is the legality of grievances. Basically, we would create a whole report. If that's all we did, and then we presented that to the world, that could be extremely powerful. Just creating a grounded understanding and foundation about what grievances are and how they function and work in a society, especially our society. And this reminds me when I was involved in sustainability back in like 1999 and 2000. We literally spent months and months and months just defining sustainability. What is sustainability? It's a new term. It's a new concept, right? So on an academic level, just getting common understanding is extremely important. So if we're really serious about jumping into this whole grievance thing and going all in on grievances, then I think that would be the first step that we'd want to do every Tuesday. It might take 2, 3, 4 weeks to just build this understanding about what a grievance is. It's kind of like building a whole report, but that could be the foundation to any website that we create,
Okay.
Yeah. And then while we're doing research, maybe we could find other, options. Like, for example, we know that the 2 main options we already have, we have grievances and then we have demands, right? So if we're saying, okay, we want to prioritize grievances, what's the difference between a grievance and a demand? Why do we believe that grievances are more important than demands as a method of building power, right? And then what are other ways of building power besides grievances and demands, right?
One thing to note, we should look into researchers that have already dissected these topics.
Exactly.
Yeah. We don't have to start from ground zero. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of research already done.
Of course.
And let's just build on top of whatever research has been already done.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, that's basically what our research is researching other research that other people have done,
Absolutely, that's a great point. Building on existing research definitely saves us time and helps us deepen our understanding more effectively. We can absolutely leverage what's already out there and then add our own insights to create a really robust foundation. It's definitely an exciting journey.
It looks to me like even the spelling is grievance. Grievance, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The word is spelled grievance. It can definitely be a bit tricky, but you've got it right. If there's anything else you'd like to clarify or explore, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm
We
getting
should put it.
I'm getting that the spelling is grievance.
Like
Grievance.
Like grievances.
Exactly,
Because
grievance.
it starts with a,
It's almost like
yeah.
a French word. That's so weird, you know? I always thought it was just grievance, you know, but it's grievance.
I really do think we should put a cap onto how far we research. Like, we should have a goal on, like, you know.
Yes, it does have that French influence, and it can definitely throw people off at first. It's always fun to see how words evolve over time, but you've got it down now, and that's what matters.
We can define the associations, how it affects society, and how it plays out in the real world. Like, I don't think we should, like, you know, make an encyclopedia about grievances, but I think we should cover some bases and leave it at that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to continuously just, you know, make this the grievance learning foundation. You know, like, we need to set a cap so that we can push forward.
Yeah.
And and not just spend too much time on this.
Yeah. Well, if we're in agreement that this is what the direction that we want to go, I would say the 2 steps are, and we could do this today. One is to make sure we have a good list. It's like your competitors, right? When you are putting together a business plan or an organizational plan, you want to know what your competitors are so that you can compare it together and make sure you're going the right direction, right? And then just deep diving into what we want to research for grievances, and then basically I think that will allow us to do that over the next week, and then we're done. I think we could get it done in 1 week if we just spend a little time today on a next topic. Does that sound like a plan?
I think that's a good plan.
Please
Okay,
stop
yeah,
and
let's
get
do it.
ready. Now inhale. 1,
Although-
2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
Although I was thinking that it's possible next week is Christmas. All right, so next week we're not gonna have well, I'm down to do a session next week depending, but we just have to, like, you know, juggle all the family Christmas stuff, right? But anyway, so next week will probably be a very shortened session if we do have one. But either way, I think we get this done in a week if we just jump into it. So I would say, just to finish up with the goals, let's just brainstorm different ways of building power. I think this is really important because if we just skip this step and we don't utilize it in our research, I think that we lose a little bit of, like, we're the power coalition, right? And we want to understand the relationship between demands and grievances, and then other forms of power for the people. Like, what are other forms of power that we need to consider, right? Because I think that it's really important, right? Like, I think another form of power is suing, right? You can really you can actually gain power in government situations by suing the government even, right? So when you sue someone, instead of having a grievance or demand, you actually have more of it's actually called, legally it's called a complaint, right? So it's not a grievance, it's not a demand, it's a complaint. And you're suing them with your complaint that typically proves wrongdoing, right? So that would be another example. What would other examples be? Most protests and boycotts are demand-based, right? So demands are huge. You also have strikes. When you strike, you typically have a demand. I think strikes are still demands, and you do negotiate. What do you negotiate with? When you are
Absolutely. It's really insightful to explore all these different forms of power and how they interact. By understanding grievances, demands, and other mechanisms like legal complaints, protests, and strikes, we get a much richer picture of how power dynamics work. It definitely helps us build a more comprehensive strategy. Let's keep that holistic perspective as we move forward.
I mean, I don't think there's a lot of different ways of building power. I think that the other way of building power that's obviously very, very important, that obviously is not what we're doing now, is popularity, or specifically image, right? Where, like, that's how a lot of famous people build power, right? So image and personality slash
count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think the foundational power building is in shifting worldviews and in educating people about the inner workings of the system. For example, you mentioned suing, right? Not many people even think about the process of suing or even know about people's, like the lower small claims court. I've sued like 2 landlords in my lifetime, and people just don't know about even the possibility. I think focusing on specific priorities of education and like easily dispersible education and shifting of worldviews is, I think, important.
I mean, especially with AI, the opening up of empowerment with AI is such a huge goal. And if you think about like open AI and their foundational mission and vision of what they want for the world, especially like, Atman and the guy who's actually running it, they want what we are talking about in terms of empowering people, having this education and easily dispersing the ability to basically, get involved and get your rights back, rights that you already have that you don't utilize because it's too complicated to hire lawyers, right? But with AI, you don't necessarily need as much legal support as you used to, right? And the same will be true with healthcare and, and even education. Like all these things are going to be so much more accessible in the near term. But it's about understanding that. But unfortunately, the system is building the AI models, regardless of what the individuals want. The system is building them for the basically to align with the capitalistic slavery and basically making ungodly amounts of money for very few people, right? So we want to go against that and build a much better educational model for accessing power. How do you utilize AI to access power, basically, right? Is that kind of what we're implementing here?
That's one channel.
Yeah, exactly. Just one channel of the education. It's like, how can we educate people? So anyways, I don't think there's a lot of different ways to build power, right? Another way of building power is money, right? Money and momentum build lots and lots of power. And that's how our system currently works. But we don't have money and we don't have the momentum of money, right? So we're working against the money and the momentum, right?
So I think going back to an old concept, just like, what was I going to say?
Time to take a break.
I always
Please
thought
stop,
that people
write
can't
down
even
whatever you were
conceptualize
about to
change.
say, and take a break
They're
for
unable
6
to
minutes.
conceptualize it.
Yes.
And I think a focal point is conceptualizing it for them to show that it can be reality. How do we conceptualize what change would be in the real world? And how would that benefit them and their worldview? Because I think a lot of people are restricted in how they see things. Oftentimes people feel it's futile. People feel like I'm just going to operate within the system and just put my head down. That's all we can do. That's all I can do. But if you are able to reveal to them that it is possible, that is powerful. That is power. If people don't even see it as a possibility, then what are we doing, right? Like, we need to show them it's real. It is possible.
I love this. And what I love most about this is it goes back to our core values, like we talked about in the beginning. Questioning the original understanding of just like our family values and how we value the relationship between our families versus people in general. So I really, really, really like that. And I think it's very, very subtle. But the way that I would put that into a term that's scalable is it's not education, because education, I think, is in many ways a false empowerment, right? Like right now you can get as many degrees as you want, but what does that mean for you, right? So it's kind of like the real power is in the science, right? But science is just an example, right? It's showing through repetitive proof, right? So proving
I mean,
some sort
I
of
disagree with.
yeah.
I disagree with the statement that education is not impactful in the sense because like those are all still operating within the realms of capitalist society. That education is aligned with the goals of the government and the system. So building educational frameworks that exist outside of that is definitely beneficial.
Sure, I mean, but I would say that basically everything is education. So regardless of whether you're doing grievances, demands, your complaints, like image, like it's like you're always trying to educate someone about what you're trying to do. But then it's like it's everything is education, right? There, so you can't really get out of the concept of trying to educate and utilizing media to present your perspective, right? So, but what I think you were talking about here in terms of you know conceptualizing what change can be in the world, how would that benefit them in the relationship to the worldview, is that you're going down to you're providing information. It's an educational process, but you're providing information that somehow proves to them that it's possible. That possibility is very, very, very powerful. So the proof of possibility, I think another example of that would be Bitcoin proof of work in Bitcoin, and that whole model of the way that Bitcoin transactions are verified is a proof of possibility. It's very, very powerful, and it's the foundation to how and why crypto works, right? So I think that I think that's what I would call it. I would call it a proof of possibility. When you can show someone this is real, that it's a conceptualized framework of changing the world in a way that is in alignment with their worldview, I think is extremely powerful, right? Not easy to do, but very powerful. Another one that I would list here is belief, right? And the interesting thing about belief is that there's no proof involved. You can just say something, and if you use enough brainwashing and enough whatever, people will start believing it, and you have a lot of power and momentum with just belief structures, right? Without any proof, right? So I think both of those are very, very powerful, but we should consider them in relationship to what our priorities are.
I agree.
Yeah. So in many ways, like let's say we wanted to prioritize grievances, the idea is to show through a proof of possibility why grievances will work as a model, right? As a process, right? So that might be easier said than done. But anyways, I think this is a really good starting point for brainstorming other models of power. Anything else you want to say on that?
Let's review what we just said. You mentioned belief. You mentioned education. What was the other term that we were using?
Just now, or all of them?
Just now.
Just now. So there was
right
the proof of possibility.
Proof of possibility.
Yeah.
I think we should talk more about proof of possibility.
Yeah.
Down to the granular level of proof of possibility to see what we need to scale from as far as proof of possibility. We were just talking about scientific evaluation and proof, right? So if we can cut down to what's the starting point
Please
of
get
proof
focused
of
on the
possibility,
session.
that actually overlaps with belief. Because once you have a buy-in at a granular level of proof, that will start to feed into belief.
Sure. I mean, money itself is a belief system, right? So yes, it's definitely all feeds together, but obviously proof of possibility is very, very different than just a belief system in and of itself, because you're actually proving to someone that it works, right? You're not just believing in it, right? So I think that's one of the...
whether or not something is factual or not, someone can still believe it, right?
Of course.
Like you said before.
Yeah, but I mean, that's everything. It's like education. Like, everything is a belief system, right? Everything is education. Everything, relies on some sort of form of media, right? So we're getting into a nuance of, okay, these are different options for power, about utilizing societal systems to build power. But yeah, so I mean, we're both agreeing. It's just slight differences in perspective, right? I mean, you could even say that image and personality, the Trump brand is powerful because it somehow proved to people that it works, right? There was a process of proving to people that their image is powerful, that it works, that people bought into that power, right? So even image and personality involve a part of proving someone's worth, right? But either way, we're not concerned about that. We're concerned about the difference between these components, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different models for building power that are all interrelated, but that they're different, right? And proof of possibility is really, really interesting, especially as an alternative to a grievance model, because it gets down to that core systems that we have talked about in the past, and our core values of understanding the psychological relationships of people and families, and relating to the world, and actually wanting to see that change, right? So if you can get to the granular level and understand how to get to people at that level, it's extremely powerful if we have something to show them, right? If we have something that can actually prove that this is better, a better model, right?
I love that you talked about Trump as a identity of power.
Yeah.
I think that is worth looking into dissecting identity of not only leaders, just people, U.S. citizens in general, their identities and what they identify with, and how that relates to
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
possibilities.
Yeah. Yes. So I mean, obviously, over time we could build a brand out of whatever we're trying to do. But I mean, I guess what we believe in terms of democracy and evolving democracy, and this I think goes into the proof of possibility. If we can show that there is a better way of building democracies, utilizing decentralized democratic principles, that
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Nope,
I
fine.
was thinking about the conceptualization of the powerful citizen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is a powerful citizen, right? Because I don't think people really think about that.
I like that a lot.
Like it's because it's just like Abrahamic religions, right? They seek external power.
Yes.
And that's why they were seeking Trump. He's an external power that empowers them. But what if we just focus on the power as citizens, because that's what we're trying to do, empower people to change their proof of possibility and show them they are actual powerful people, in that they are powerful citizens. Like we talked about the different tools, right? And I think if we build this concept of a powerful citizen, I think that might be resonating. Because you're looking towards something, an ideal that can be you, quote unquote, right? The common woman or man.
Person, yeah. The people, right? So I love it, right? I think it's really, really resonant. I think it resonates with me, what you're saying. The idea of the conceptualization of a powerful citizen being myself, what does that look like, is a very, very interesting concept in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Right? So
Yeah,
and I think that is a exactly where that would fit into our whole brainstorm is interesting, but obviously it relates to the proof of possibility. But I think you're also right that it kind of relates to some other things like your image, like that if you can transform the image from a leader to empowering the people, especially utilizing technology like decentralized democracy and AI, it's very transformative, very and very scalable.
Time for breath.
At this point, we need people to become leaders in their communities, to strike that, to ignite the fire. We need the fire of ideals, right? And if we have people who can stand up and acknowledge that they're powerful citizens, they in themselves can be beacons and empower other people to do the same.
Wow. I love
It's like you look at social media, right? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
You look at social media and all they're talking about is grievances. All they're talking about is proof of grievances. But I don't see a lot of people talking about how we can empower ourselves and what we can look forward to. What can we look at to be a role model for ourselves as citizens who are exercising our right? They always say, oh, look at France, look at them, they're out in the streets, they're burning stuff down, look at them. Instead of looking at what does it look like to be a powerful U.S. citizen? What does that look like?
Yeah. Oh, let's hear from Flo.
Absolutely. I'm here and ready to jump in. It's really exciting to explore all these concepts and how they tie together. Let's keep going and refine these ideas even further.
Do you have any
I
thoughts,
wanna add-
Flo? Oh, yes. Keep going, Pewpmasta. Yeah.
I want to add that all the role models in American society are billionaires. And if we are basing our, goals to become these billionaires, that is the worst role model that there can be. We need to flip the script and say, no, that is not it. That is not success.
Yes, exactly. So I think here that we are at this is exactly why we do brainstorming, exactly why we want to keep things open and flowing, right? So I feel like we clearly have two high level directions and models, possibly three, right? So we have the grievance model, we have the proof of possibility model, right? Proof of possibility. And then we have, I would almost put it into the image model. We have the redefine the image of the powerful citizen, which is extremely fascinating because typically power through image is all about.
Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Power through image is typically all about brands. It's all about an individual. It's all about one person or one famous person or one company and one logo, right? So what's really interesting about what you're bringing up, the idea of the powerful citizen being the image, is it's very, very decentralized and collaborative and open and empowering to everybody, because everyone can become a powerful citizen through that definition. So anyways, I think these three things are equally important at this point, and that we can't rule either one of them out, right?
I love all three, and I think those can be very good focal points for us.
Yes, and I think these can be the foundational principles of the Power Coalition, right? The three core pillars of the Power Coalition is organizing grievances, proving possibility, based on worldview and everything, and then redefining the citizen. Like, what is the citizen in the 21st century with AI and all the tools at our disposal? What does that look like? I think that is a huge triple threat of exciting possibility, right? So I think that's really, really good. I think that basically we should do research on each of these. And so the first thing is the questions. I think we already have the questions set up for the grievances and the process and all that. So let's look at the powerful citizen question. So For the powerful citizen, the question that we've asked is, what are the tools and actions a powerful citizen takes, right, to empower themselves? Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like?
Yes.
What is it? How does it align with decentralization? So decentralizing power for all citizens is an amazing vision, right? And maybe even going into why is it doable now, right? Why can we do this now, whereas in the past it wasn't feasible, right? So if we can get clarity on these questions, I think you have a very powerful ability to present this for buy-in.
A little further, the current state of affairs as far as the people's self-image as citizens, I think the disconnect is like wide. Like, this is a time when people feel the least powerful ever. I mean, obviously they felt pretty powerless before, throughout, American history, like very powerless. But I feel like it's even exponentially conveyed through social media and people in their homes that are talking about it. I think there should be like a profile of current self-image of U.S. of citizens. What do we look at ourselves as far as our power right now? And then what could we be as far as self-image in regard to power as citizens?
The furthest... Yeah, keep going.
And that gap I think will certainly put an onus, and it would just illuminate even further what little access we have in real terms. I think it's easily visualized if you lay it out, what could be and what we have now.
Yeah. Very, very cool. I was going to say, in terms of what we have now, I feel like 90% of my political discussions, which is a very, very small percentage of discussions, because most times when things get political, people just already cut it off and just say "Ooh, that's political. No, we don't want to go there," right? So 99% of discussions stem away from politics as much as possible. And even when they do get into politics, it's usually very superficial, people just make the little comments and things like that, or bring up brands. But then when you actually get political, 90% of the time, it just dead ends in one thing and one thing only. Oh, the political party. Oh, the Republicans. Oh, the Democrats. And that's done. Dead stop. Right? Oh, the Democrats are taking care of that. Oh, blah, 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 this person in the Democrats is doing this. And oh, blah, 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 this person in the Republicans is the problem. And blah, blah, blah. And it's just always just a dead end into pointing fingers at political parties. It just always goes to the political parties. That's all I ever hear. 90% of the time. And it's just every single time we bring up the political parties, we're taking away the power from the citizens. And all the power goes into the political parties.
I think we should promote that those type of behaviors is not constructive. We need to remove unconstructive behaviors that actually ignite ideas and self-awareness as citizens. Because if you pointed it out, if we just start pointing fingers, it doesn't do anything. And we are not placing the onus on these politicians anymore, as they have demonstrated. They cannot do what is necessary. They're unable to. They got their hands tied behind their backs, or they're just not willing. And I think we need to disregard the political parties. There's no point in even talking about them, really.
Well, we definitely need to address the situation with the political parties, but the key thing is that the empowered citizen is a citizen first and a member of a party or organization second, right? There needs to be a clear distinction. We need to define and make it clear and distinct why the Constitution of the United States and almost every other constitution in the world does not have political parties in it, right? The Constitution of the United States does not list a single political party and doesn't even acknowledge political parties exist, right? And so we need to have understanding about why that is true and why being the people and being a citizen must come first before adherence to a political party, right? It's dangerous, right? And we need to,
You just highlighted a very important thing, that we don't acknowledge that we are our own political party. We as the people.
Yeah.
We are a political party.
Well, I don't know if we're a political party. We're a political level of government. We're part of the government, right? Technically speaking, we have power as our own. Every single power not given to the states and to the federal government is held by the people. So we actually hold power based on the Constitution. The Constitution directly empowers the people and the citizenship. So we are a branch of the government itself, right? So you have the branches of government are the legislative, the judicial, the executive, the states, and the people, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the sixth branch would be something like the media, the media / institutions, right? But
hey Jay, I actually have an errand to run, but I do want to continue this buddy session. What is your availability later today?
I think we should just wrap up and do some work asynchronously, because I've been pushing myself way too hard. But I think this was an excellent session today. I mean, this is really, really, really powerful and just getting deep into a lot of ideas. So it looks like we have some pretty good questions on the powerful citizen and the grievance process, and I think we could start doing those two research documents. So just choose one,
I will go into proof of possibility and try to
that a
little bit.
We haven't really defined the proof of possibility yet.
Okay.
So I would leave that one. I would focus on the powerful citizen for you, and then I can do the grievance.
I will do the powerful citizen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
I was okay with either.
So the proof of possibility, I would say we need like 5 more minutes to just like go over and brainstorm like what the questions are that we're going to be asking. But we have questions for grievances. We now have questions for the powerful citizen, for the image of the powerful citizen. So I think that's really, really, really good. But the proof of possibility, a little bit nuanced, so let's not dive into that until we have a little more discussion, okay? So I will do a report on the grievances. You do a report on the powerful citizen, and then we'll connect back on Friday.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Any other details, questions, anything else? I'm going to...
I think we have a nice handful to work on, and I'm very excited.
Yes, this is good. I think this is the first time we really got clear into our goals, which relate now to core principles with these 3 sort of bedrocks of the power coalition itself. So it's a really, really exciting session, and we'll talk more on Friday. And
awesome.
I'll do
thank you,
some
Jay.
research. Yes. All right. Take care. Ciao.
Absolutely, that sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward to diving deeper and continuing our progress. Have a great time with the research, and I'll be ready to reconnect on Friday. Take care and talk to you soon.
Thank you, Flo. Bye.